What is up, you guys? It's Ashling. Welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to have a little sit down chat with you guys today. Promised you guys I would do this video yesterday, and I just wanted to sit down and properly talk to you instead of doing like an Instagram story where I'm losing my thoughts and maybe not getting my information across as possible. Or as cross as easily. Also, you're going to see a lot of that stumbling over words because I feel like that's just what my life has become now. I don't even know what I'm saying half the time. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my pregnancy update. Some of you guys obviously have no interest in pregnancy content, and that is fine. This is just not for you. I have other content coming up obviously along the way. I have taken huge requests from you guys on my social media, on my Instagram. I asked you guys what videos you want to see coming up, so there's loads of different suggestions. This just might not be your cup of tea, but for those of you who are interested in what's going on during my pregnancy, then just keep on watching, I guess. So I actually haven't updated you guys since December on what's been going on in my pregnancy because I didn't really know what the hell was going on. In December, I was admitted to hospital. You guys will remember that. It was nearly 6 weeks ago now, and it was pretty terrifying for me, to be honest, because I had so much severe abdominal pain that I didn't know what the hell was wrong. They thought that I had ruptured my appendix, and then they were worried about like toxemia and stuff like that. So they were quite concerned in regards to what was going on with the baby and the pain. But once I got to see the baby on the scan and found out that he or she is fine, I was kind of a little bit more relieved. But they wanted to keep me in overnight for observation and for tests the following day. Anyway, long story short, because I've talked about this already, they found out that I had a 7 centimeter fibroid, and it was located at my posterior, so it was at the back of my uterus. If you're not aware, fibroids are non-cancerous growths. They can have blood supplies, they might not, but they are quite ugly looking things. I have googled them. I love a bit of gore. They're not very attractive and they are quite annoying, to be frank about it. They don't cause any major issues during pregnancy, but they can cause issues with conception. Like if you're trying for a baby, normally they will do tests to see if you have fibroids, if you're struggling to conceive, and they'll remove them. But in my case, I conceived really, really quickly and there was no issues in those departments. They found out that the fibroid was impacting the baby because of the size of it. It was bigger than the baby. Like the baby at that time only weighed about 10 ounces, and the size of the baby was not even as big as the size of the fibroid, and they were really concerned about space. The other thing they were really concerned about was a low-lying placenta, or a placenta previa, which is where the placenta partially or fully covers the cervix. Obviously that's going to be a bit of an issue when you're trying to deliver a baby. If you have the cervix covered, it's not going to happen, so you're going to have a section. That was fine. I had that in my head all along, like you're going to have a section, you're going to be brought in early. The girl who was doing the ultrasound of me, the technician, had said that she knows multiple people who had fibroids, and when they are having a section, they have to be careful with where the fibroid is, if it's located at the front, because it can cause you to bleed. Basically, you can have a hemorrhaging from this section and just from the fibroid, etc, etc. But anyway, that was not my case because of where it was located. It was causing a huge amount of discomfort and pain. It's been one of the most painful experiences having the fibroid, and I had no idea why, because, you know, it's just like a little growth, but it was just where it was, and it was where it was sitting, and it was on my lower back, and it was causing pain around my right hand side. At the front, it was going right down into my groin area, and I initially had thought it was ligament pain until I found out what it was. Was discharged, went home after they found out what was going on. You feel kind of a bit more relieved, even though it's not exactly what you want to hear, but like to know that there is a reason that you're in pain, because I thought I was being like a hypochondriac. I was like going on in pain and there's probably nothing wrong with me. But to find out this is what I had, it kind of made me feel a bit better. And I don't know if any of you guys out there have had fibroids and have like experienced them during pregnancy. They are very uncomfortable. It's not a very nice experience. They are just very unpleasant and they're just painful. And I think that I had just stopped talking about the pain during the whole of December because I was in so much pain. Like walking was becoming really difficult for me. I was in that much pain with it. So I was taking paracetamol, the required doses, every day. I don't think I've taken that many paracetamol in my life. I was living off them at the end of December and over Christmas and stuff, and I was worried about that as well, because you're taking obviously some form of drug into your body but it's non-toxic to the baby and there's no problem taking them. But I was just kind of concerned of the amount of them I was taking. Then I had kind of like, without being too TMI, like bowel problems for a few days as well. That was just really, really nasty. And I was worried about my hydration and stuff like that, and it was just not nice. December, after being in hospital, was horrible, but from Christmas onwards everything got a bit better. And I was due in for my 20-week scan, my anatomy scan, and Paddy was allowed to come. That was like one of the best feelings ever, like that he was able to be there. But when we went in for the next scan, I found out that the fibroid had grown from 7 centimeters to nearly 10. It was well over 9.5 centimeters. They were really, really concerned at this stage. So I spoke to my specialist. He was really, really great because he kept me really calm. He was like, you need to reduce the stress. Like, don't be doing too much strenuous, like walking around. Like, he'd asked me if I finished my Christmas shop, and I was like, kinda. He was like, no, you're done. Like, that's it. He was like, I don't want you out and about. I wanted to kind of be on rest. I wasn't on bed rest, but I was on rest. He was worried about my placenta positioning because it had moved more down. It was a low-lying placenta at this stage, properly. The size of the fibroid was just increasing, and he was really concerned. He said the only thing about it was it had no blood supply, so that was a positive. He was just wanting to monitor me every 3 to 4 weeks. So I was due in 4 weeks' time, and then they would kind of judge after those 4 weeks if I needed to be seen more regularly. So obviously I was kind of like stressing, but I listened to him and listened to the advice and listened to my body and listened to myself as well, and just kind of decided to relax and chill out over Christmas. I had my next appointment, which was my 24-week appointment, yesterday, where I went in to see what the progress was looking like on the fibroid. And when I went in, I was so nervous. Now my stomach has been super distended for the last like 3-4 weeks, in pain, bloated, very, very hard, and just felt horrible. And over the last, say, about like 10 days, it's felt much more like baby, if that makes sense. It doesn't feel as like hard, and it just feels like a pregnancy belly now. And it actually has reduced in size, believe it or not, considering the fact that I'm 4 weeks further along than I was back then, if you get me. So it has reduced in size. And when I went in for my appointment, I know the technician Denise, we went to school together. Denise was like, Aisling, your stomach looks so much better than it did the last time you were in here. She was like, it's even smaller, if that makes any sense. She was like, you're not as swollen, you're not as like distended, and your stomach is not as hard. So when she had a look at me, she was like, I have a really good feeling about this. We did the scan, the ultrasound, we did an internal and an external. The external was the one that she was kind of like looking around. She was like, I can't find it. She was like, so I'm going to have to do an internal because it's important that we kind of locate where it is to see what the hell's going on with it. Now, we knew exactly where it was, myself and Denise, because we had done the scan before, and I knew where the pain was, and I just knew like where it was. She was showing me the ultrasound, and then she called in another girl. She was like, can you see it? She couldn't see anything. And we'd seen it before, like I'd seen it myself, like it was big. I'm not great at reading scans. I can see what I need to see, and I could see this thing, and it was such a big mass, and it had like an echo in the middle of it. It just looked so big, like a mass inside your belly. Like it was the size of a grapefruit, so you could just imagine the size of a grapefruit. Like it was big enough. Anyway, Denise did the internal, couldn't locate it either, and then we did locate it, and it was so tiny. Oh, my heart was just like, yes, this is exactly what I want to hear. It had reduced down to 2 centimeters, so it's shrunk down 7 centimeters. She said to me that's what all the pain was and everything. Got my little scan pictures of the baby. The baby's doing great, thriving, loads of room now to move around. And that's why I think I'm feeling a lot more movement lately, is because there's a little bit more room for the baby to like stretch out or do whatever they're doing. And the baby's head is down where my cervix is, well, was at my appointment yesterday. And my placenta has moved out of the way as well. So I don't have a low-lying placenta anymore. So obviously you hear all this information, you're like, okay, but what does all that mean? So Denise told me to go and speak to one of the other members on my specialist team. She was actually on maternity leave, and that's why I got to see the other guy, Gus, who I actually really, really, really liked him. but he was just covering maternity leave while one of my other specialists, because there's like 3 people looking after me because they were all kind of like wondering what the hell this was. I don't really understand obviously maternity care because this is the first time I've been pregnant, the first time I've gone through like hospital appointments, whatnot. Normally you have one specialist and you see the midwives, you don't actually see your specialist, whereas I've seen 3 doctors that are gynecologists that specialize in babies and all these other things. So it was just kind of like a lot of people, a lot of information, but I've kind of compiled it myself and I understand what's going on. When I was talking to the other specialist that works on my team that's back from maternity leave, she had told me that they were very, very happy and that everything had shrunk down. And she said to me, not to alarm me, she's like, but we were quite concerned that it was something sinister. And I was like, what do you mean? And she did mention tumor and cancer to me, and I kind of was like, what? And they were like, with every sort of growth where it was, they weren't fully 100% sure it was actually a fibroid, but at the time that was the only way that they could talk to me or kind of give that information over to me, because they knew that they needed to monitor me a little bit more closely. And I was like, what the hell? She did say to me that once the baby was born, if this fibroid or growth, she mentioned tumor, hadn't shrunk down, that I was going to have to get an emergency operation straight after the baby was born, and they were going to have to remove this growth, this fibroid, this tumor, this whatever the hell it was, because they don't know. All they can see on a scan and ultrasound is that there's a mass growing. They can't really tell much more. Obviously I'm not a gynecologist and I am not an oncologist, so I don't exactly know what I'm looking at, but I'm going on the word of a specialist, and what she was telling me was that they were going to have a conversation with me at that appointment about being brought in earlier for a section and then this kind of removal process of whatever this growth was. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I didn't know that in December. She said to me that normally something sinister will never go down in size ever. There's no way it will ever reduce in size. If anything, it will increase and it will cause more problems. So she said the fact that there's no pain, it's decreased in size, means it's not something sinister. More than likely was the fibroid. It was because of all the progesterone during pregnancy that caused it to grow and gave it like a little life of its own. I now no longer need to be seen every 4 weeks. I am going to be seen at my 34-week appointment and then 2 weeks after that, which is standard procedure, especially in Ireland, for monitoring the baby's growth, size. If there's any other kind of complications, they'll kind of arise around that time. If I need to get a section, maybe the baby's too big or whatever, they'll discuss those things. But the fibroid and the low-lying placenta are no longer a problem. She said to me there should be no issue with you delivering naturally. I don't mind having to get a section. I've always said all along I have no birth plan because you just don't know what's going to happen on the day. But I was preparing myself for a section. And now I can kind of think about a natural birth as well. So there's kind of other options for me. I'm just not really going to think about it too much, to be honest, to be real about the whole thing. I'm just going to go with the flow. If I have pain, I have to contact my specialist straight away. I have to actually ring the maternity section. I'm not to ring A&E or anything. I have to go straight in there and they will do other ultrasounds if needs be. But I'm in no pain right now. I feel really great. I'm sorry that was a really long ranty video, but I needed to kind of explain everything in detail, I guess. If you've any questions or any experiences with things like fibroids and stuff, I would love to hear your experiences. I love hearing about my subscribers that are pregnant also. I love hearing your little stories, and I love hearing like, oh, this is my second baby, my third baby, my first daughter, my second son, my third son, whatever. Like, I love hearing like your little stories and telling me about your progress in your pregnancy. It really, really just brightens up my day, and I feel like I've connected with so many of my pregnant subscribers during this time, or my subscribers that have children as well, and I just love hearing your stories. And it's just a really, really nice like part of pregnancy is talking to other women, especially during lockdown, because I'm not going to have any like natal appointments. We'll say I don't have any like birthing classes or anything like that because of COVID, so it's nice to just connect with people online. Thank you so much guys for watching today's video. I hope it was helpful in some way, and I'm glad that I was able to tell you everything that was going on, and it's good news. That's just the main thing. So now that we're nearly at the end of my second trimester, I will be doing a whole second trimester update, which I can kind of like skim over these bits because you kind of know the in-depth details of it. So I'll just mention them briefly in that, because I have so many other things I want to talk to you guys about that are a bit more positive and nicer and stuff. but I'm just glad that everything worked out really, really well, and I'm just thinking really positive for the next few weeks. Thank you guys for watching today's video. I love you so much, and I will talk to all of you very, very soon. Mwah. Bye guys. I just said before I finish today's video, I will show you a little glimpse of the bump, our 24-week bump. So that's what we're looking like. Coming along quite nicely.